Hello again and welcome to ManchTalk. I'm Tammy Simmons. I'm your host and I'm glad you're tuning in to watch. Before I get started with my planned subject matter, I just have to vent a little. For those of you who ever watched my show or talked to me, you know that the first term I was a legislator, I put in a bill to say that municipalities cannot force that private businesses hire public employees to do traffic details. I was a freshman legislator. I had no idea what I was doing. Legislative services didn't do me any help writing the bill. It ended up being a mess. I think I'd probably make another stab at it again when I get elected in November. But for those of you who don't know, whenever there's a supposedly in Manchester, this isn't a state thing, this is a city thing, within the boundaries of Manchester, if there's traffic work, if there's, road construction or a utility company working, they mandate that private companies, all entities, hire Manchester police, and if they're not available, Hillsborough County sheriffs or surrounding towns, they reach out to other police departments, I guess, to man those traffic details. The cost of doing that is $50+ an hour, and there are minimum hours. And it is bizarre because when I asked Chief Mara, this was years ago, this is like 6 years ago now, what do they do if there's not enough officers who want to work these special details? Because this is above and beyond their regular police job. He said, well, then they just waive the requirement. So it's not critical enough that it's required. It's actually required. It's only required when there's a police officer who wants to make $50 an hour in a side gig. So on my way here today, I'm coming up South Main Street, and there's road construction, like a big hole in the road because they're redoing something. Large enough construction that probably a whole block of Main Street had signs at the beginning and the end that said, businesses open during construction. So it's a major project. And that, which I'm assuming was either the city or the state doing the work, had just regular flaggers, regular people being paid probably $15 an hour or $18 an hour or whatever to work for a company who stand at both ends of the construction with the slow and stop signs and direct traffic. And now that piece of road construction was actually in the road, bringing the street down to one lane, and it was going fine. There was no accident, there was no pile up or anything. When I get over here to Elm Street to come tape my show, and there is a cable company, which would be a private company, parked in a parking spot within the yellow lines of a parking spot, working in a manhole within a parking spot. So not in any way impeding traffic whatsoever. Nothing other than occupying 2 parking spots, and which were outlined with orange cones. And there was a Hillsborough County sheriff standing by the side of the road, not really directing traffic because there's no traffic to direct. It didn't impede the traffic on Elm Street. It was in parking spots. So that company is paying $50-some an hour to have this Hillsborough County sheriff stand there and I guess just stand there. And then even more so, the taxpayer should be outraged because it's not just that person off duty who's getting paid by private dollars. There was a sheriff's vehicle parked 3 spots up with his flashers up. There's no traffic. There was no traffic that was being impeded by this work being done in the manhole. Yet yet Hillsborough County taxpayers are paying for a vehicle to sit there idling, running with its lights flashing, and the cable company that was doing the work is obligated to pay $50-some per hour to have a uniformed officer standing there when there was no traffic to direct or anything. It's insane. I'm sorry. And it's not meant to be anti-police because it has nothing to do with our police department. This is above and beyond. This is jobs above and beyond that are guaranteed only to those working for the police department or the sheriff's department if there's work within the city of Manchester. I think it's wrong. I think we could have private companies that could provide traffic direction for a much lower cost when there is actually traffic being impeded by a project. Crazy thought, but it's just wrong. Anyways, I don't want to pile on the police because they were actually involved in the conversation that I want to talk about in the rest of my show. But on the other end of it, there was an article in today's Union Leader about the smoking ban that is in effect in some of Manchester's downtown parks. Two things about this article piqued my interest. The first was that the police department thought that the ban was only for 6 months. As, to be honest, did I. I thought I recalled that a ban was passed for 6 months in a certain number of parks. So I did a little Googling this morning, and last August 15th, so just under a year ago, the aldermen voted to ban smoking within the confines of 5 downtown parks: Veterans Park, Victory Park, Bronstein, Pulaski Park, and Stanton Plaza. And it was for 6 months. So the police are not making this up. What apparently the police don't know about, and I didn't even recall, and I'm going to guess that most city residents don't know about, is that at the very next aldermanic meeting, which was, I think, like September 5th, the aldermen voted to add another park to the 5, making it 6, because what happened was they banned them in these parks and they just all shifted over to that park. And they had spent money. So they voted to add Calavis Park. And this is the part that apparently most people don't remember, to do away with the 6-month time limit and make it in perpetuity until somebody changes it. Now, the Manchester police apparently don't recall that detail. I didn't recall that detail, and I kind of stay up on this stuff. So if the police don't know that, and probably the average person doesn't know that, how would somebody know what the ordinance is and when it expires, or if it does or doesn't? Because apparently what happened is the police went to the Parks Division to say, when are you going to take these no smoking signs down? Because they thought it was a 6-month thing. And obviously 6 months from last August or even from last September is long since expired. And in the Union Leader, so then the Parks Department went to, I think, to the city solicitor's office to say, what's the story? And this is from today's Union Leader. The head of the Parks Department, Pinard, said the ban has been in effect since last summer, which we all agree to. Then the next part is the part that I was like, what? Deputy City Solicitor Peter Cheesy says, anyone looking online for the no smoking ordinance won't find it yet, because the online listing of local regulations has yet to be updated to include Ordinance 96.06 Behavior Section H, regulating smoking in certain parks. That online listing should be updated sometime this fall, he said. What? That's insane! So we passed an ordinance last August, we revised the ordinance last September, and we shouldn't expect the public to be able to read it in the list of city ordinances until this fall? That's nuts. So it's just nuts. So I went to the city website because which, no municipal websites are usually very easy to use. Manchester's is okay. I mean, you can find stuff. It's a little haphazard, but it's better than it used to be. So I went in a city website, and right there in the column on the left, it says city ordinances. So I click on city ordinances, and it directs me to another website, one for the American Legal Publishing Corp. I printed the page, located in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it says right there on the page, when you bring it up, City of Manchester and New Hampshire Code of Ordinances. And right there, 2017 S18 supplement contains local legislation current passed through ordinances 4/18 of 17. So anything passed after last April, 15 months ago, still is not on the website that you get when you look on the city website to find out what our city ordinance is. I can't be the only person who thinks that's just nuts. That's absurd. So that makes me wonder, how much are we paying this American Legal Publishing Corp? I assume we've hired them to maintain a secure place for our ordinances, because I'm presuming, this is all presumptions on my part, I'm presuming that the only reason we would do that is because there would be concern that somebody could hack into the city website and change the ordinances and we wouldn't know. Or we don't have anybody in the IT department capable of maintaining a list of ordinances. Okay, so if we're paying American Legal Publishing Corp, how much are we paying them? Because if it takes 15 months before something is going to appear in the list, that's not okay. I'm sure it's probably cheaper to pay an outside company than to pay an IT person in our city. That's just reality. The reason being is if we'd probably have to hire a whole person just to take care of this one project, because that seems to be how we do things in the city. But not only do we have to pay them, and we pay all of our city employees well, we're no longer that entity that used to pay low but give good benefits. Now we pay high and give great benefits. So we'd have to pay their health insurance and then their pension. And you know what? Then you'd have this IT person who would, at 50, because we could probably hire them at 30, at 50, they would retire. They'd get their city pension that the taxpayers would be on the hook for the rest of their life. And then they'd go off and get a private job in the private sector and earn a second income. And, round and round and round that thing goes. But I just think it's crazy that, one, ordinances are passed that even the city police are not fully aware of. And then how would the city police even know? I mean, they can't even click on the city ordinances and see what the ordinance is. Should we just depend on the sign in the park? But the sign in the park might say 6 months. I don't know what the signs say. And maybe signs are outdated. Maybe things have changed and they haven't come down, because obviously the city police thought that this should have come down. So do we just believe the city police? Because we also know that people are arrested all the time, not just in Manchester, just everywhere, for things that aren't actually crimes. So how is it that if we're going to expect our community to live by a code of ordinances and to know what they are if they're not even published? It's just wrong. It's just crazy. I don't know. I just whatever. So this brought me to a second thing, and this is a pet peeve of mine. I've been talking about it on social media, and I don't get a lot of feedback, and I don't know why people don't seem to engage. But whatever. Why is it that when smokers are done with their cigarette, it's perfectly common practice to just throw it on the ground? Does that bother anybody else? First of all, smoking for me, I would have voted not to ban smoking in the parks more than likely if I was the alderman. Not because I like smoking, because I find it to be a nasty, disgusting habit, and it smells, and it's just gross. I don't allow people to smoke at my house. I don't even like if somebody smokes in my backyard, and I definitely do not want to be picking up people's cigarette butts. It's bad enough that I live on a busy street, and the front edge of my yard is littered with cigarette butts when nobody in our household smokes. I find it interesting that we have a city ordinance, which I assume is on the website, that requires that dog owners not only pick up after their dogs, which they should, but they are required to have bags with them in case their dog takes a poop and has to be picked up. So if we can expect dog owners to be responsible for cleaning up after their dogs, why is it that we don't expect smokers to be responsible for not leaving debris from their smoking anywheres? Now, people argue with me, well, the butts disintegrate. Well, I call baloney. They eventually disintegrate. Most things eventually disintegrate, but they don't disintegrate quickly. It's not like they get dropped on the ground and 2 days later they've melted away. It's not like they dropped a sugar cube and the rain melts it away. On the flip side of that, dog poo does kind of disintegrate pretty quickly and go away on its own when it rains. Not saying that people shouldn't pick up after their dogs. I do think it's important that people pick up after their dogs and dispose of it properly. They pick it up in a bag and then they find an appropriate trash receptacle to put the dog poo in. That's the norm. Cigarette smokers, just throw it on the ground. Drive down the street, throw it out the window. Walking down the street, throw it on the ground. Standing on it, anywhere, throw it on the ground. I don't understand why this is an accepted behavior. I did talk to a few smokers who said, years ago they used to think nothing of it because that was the normal culture, and now some people I know are like, no, I make sure that I don't do that because that's kind of gross. So I thought it was interesting, and added a little bit. The cigarette butts that are getting thrown on the ground are actually a legally regulated product. Dog poo isn't a regulated product. I mean, it's just dog poo. It's nature. Um, but cigarettes, you have to be, what, 18 or 21? I don't even know how old you have to be now to buy cigarettes. But it's a legal. There's legal restrictions on who can possess cigarettes, who can purchase cigarettes. Yet we don't seem to think it's important that we have any ordinance that says, hey, if you throw cigarettes on the butt, that legally restricted item, that's okay. But make sure you pick up your dog poo, because that's the important thing. So it's just food for thought. Why is it okay? Are you a smoker? Do you throw your cigarette butt on the ground? Why is it that you think that's okay? Who's coming along to pick up after you? That's all. Anyways, I just wanted, that was my thing. Traffic details don't make any sense to me. Apparently the list of how we publish our ordinances doesn't make any sense to me. The lack of common sense regarding cigarette butts and trash in general and littering doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it's the summer. Maybe I'm just frustrated this week. Who knows? But enough about that. Coming up in and around Manchester in the coming weeks, I want to remind people that this Saturday, the 28th, that is this Saturday, right? Yes, this Saturday, the 28th, the 5th annual Manchester Brewfest will take place in Arms Park. It runs from noon to 5. You can buy tickets online or at the gate. VIP tickets get you in at noon, and they cost $50. Regular tickets, you can go from 1 on through the end of the event at 5, and they're $40. There's going to be over 100 unique local and regional craft beers for you to try, as well as delicious local foods, non-alcoholic beverages. There will be live music, and this is a 21 and over only event. So this is not a family-friendly thing. This is a beer fest. You can get more information about this or buy your tickets online at manchesterbrewfest.com. Now, the proceeds of this benefit New Horizons for New Hampshire, and if you don't know, New Horizons operates a soup kitchen, a food pantry, provides emergency shelter at 199 Manchester Street, and also has Angie's Shelter for Women, and it's also part of the Families in Transitions group of assets for our community. So that is the 5th annual Manchester Brewfest this Saturday, July 28th in Arms Park. Get out there and support New Horizons. Manchester Trolley Nights start this week, Thursday the 26th. They are sponsored by Sea Science Center, and it's a loop that doesn't cost anything, starting at 5 o'clock, and it loops through the Mill Yard. You can pick it up at 200 Bedford Street, and they have... the loop is 30 minutes. You can stay on the whole time. You can get on, get off, whatever you want. It is free. It is sponsored by Sea Science Center, and you can get more information about that. That's every Thursday night through the summer and into the fall. More information about that at SEE-sciencecenter.org. In Town Manchester's free summer concert and movie series continues. This Thursday is the band Rock Spring. August 2nd will be the Army Rock Band. And on August 16th, our very own school committee member Jimmy LaHoo will be playing on Thursday, August 16th in Town Manchester's free concert series. And then after Jimmy's performance on the 16th, the next week they start the movies, and they're playing The Greatest Showman on the 23rd of August and The Avenger on the 30th. Also on Thursdays, now through into the fall, is the Farmers Market, which is now located in Stanton Plaza, which does not allow smoking. That's right in front of the Hilton. I'm not sure what it is now. I think it's a Doubleday. Used to be the Radisson, used to be the Holiday Inn Center in New Hampshire. That plaza right there in front of, across the street from Veterans Park, is where the Farmers Market takes place now. That runs every Thursday, 3 to 6:30. And you can get more information about the concert series or the Farmers Market at intownmanchester.com. Additionally, if you like music and you want to find a way to spend some time outdoors and relax and enjoy the summer, Stark Park, which is up in the North End on River Road, does a free concert series as well. I had missed that so far this year. I completely kept forgetting to look. This Sunday, July 29th, it is the band Tradition, which is Irish music and more. They have concerts running through August 26th, all different types of music. This Sunday, July 29th, it starts at 2 p.m. It is completely free. You can find a list of all the concerts taking place in Stark Park up on North River Road in our North End by visiting starkpark.com. I want to remind people that the Cigna Elliott 5K road race will be taking place on Thursday, August 9th. That's just a couple weeks away, and that race starts at 6:20. And if you've ever been downtown on Elm Street on the day of a Cigna road race, there are thousands and thousands of people down there. So make plans accordingly. Don't expect to be able to cross Elm Street anywhere. I'm pretty sure probably from the Brady Sullivan Tower down to at least I would assume at least to Granite Street. Busy time, but it's tons of fun. So maybe, get out and support those running for a good cause that benefits Dartmouth Hitchcock and things. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of good things that come out of the Cigna Road Race. Another great fundraising event takes place Friday, August 10th. Again, just a couple weeks away. This is the Chad Battle of the Badges Baseball Classic. I learn a lot about Chad and the great things they do because my friends Elliot, my friends Carrie and BJ Perriott, and their son Elliot are very involved in fundraising for Chad. Chad is Children's Hospital at Dartmouth up in I guess that would be in Lebanon. I don't know, way up there. They raise money especially for children that are born premature and whatnot. That's a great resource we have. Elliot was born very, very early to the Perrys, and I was reading on Facebook, I think just yesterday was Elliot's 7th birthday, and I'm sure Chad played a very important part of Elliot's survival, and we wouldn't have that charm of a child on this planet if it wasn't for Chad. Anyway, so Chad Battle of the Badges Baseball Classic will take place Friday, August 10th. Starts at 6 o'clock. It's sponsored by the Fisher Cats at Northeast Delta Dental Stadium. I don't know why I've struggled to say that. Tickets are just $10. Children 5 and under are free. You can purchase tickets at the gate on event day or by visiting chadbaseball.org. Great way to spend an evening in the summer, catch a baseball game, and do it all for a great cause. That's really all I have for this week. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, if you want to just tell me I'm wrong, you want to tell me you agree with me, whatever the case may be. If you have any ideas for shows, or you want to tell me about any events going on in the community that you'd like me to mention on the show, you can email me at manchtalk@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Facebook you can find me at ManchTalk. I do have a Twitter account, but I will tell you that I've kind of decided that Twitter might be the downfall of our society. It's just a time suck and seems to be more nastiness on there than not. So I haven't been tweeting for the past couple of months intentionally. But I do have a Twitter handle. It's at ManchTalk. So I look forward to hearing from some of you, and until then, maybe next week it'll be an outdoor show, and we'll have some candidate information and whatnot. Until then, get out, take a walk, walk on one of the great trails in Manchester, rent a kayak, get out on the river, do something great. Summer's too short to waste time, and I'll see you next week. Bye.